Welcome to the Women in Leadership Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast weekly reading. We are currently reading The Path of the Yoga Sutras by Nicolai Bachman, and this week we are in chapter 31, Asteya, not taking from others. The value of a man resides in what he gives and not what he is capable of receiving. Albert Einstein. Asteya, the third of the 5 yamas or ethical practices, is not taking from others and accepting only what is earned or freely given. There are many aspects to this ethic, including honesty, trust, generosity, and receptivity. Asteya shares the principle of honesty with satya, the previous yama. When our actions show that we are honest, others will trust us. If we know that someone believes in us or is relying on us, we become empowered inside and act to uphold this trust. Being honest and trustworthy contributes to a strong moral backbone as long as our actions remain non-hurtful. All social ethics, or yamas, are to be practiced with non-violence, ahimsa. According to the sutras, if we do not covet another's property, then more prosperity will come to us. For example, you become a housekeeper for a few months. Inside the house are many valuable works of art, pieces of electronic equipment, and so on. If you steal some of these things out of greed or envy, it will ultimately result in future suffering. If you refrain and take care of the house as expected, the owners will trust you and probably have you house sit in the future, allowing you to save money in order to eventually afford your own place. The opposite of not taking is taking or stealing, which can have many forms. If we interrupt someone during a conversation, we steal their right to be heard. Plagiarizing or taking undue credit for someone else's ideas are also forms of stealing. And most obviously, stealing something from someone. For example, your server at a restaurant forgot to charge you for something you ordered. If you can muster up the scruples to let the server know, you will see how happy she becomes. On the other hand, if you ignore the mistake and pay less for your meal, you might feel a bit guilty. The choice is obvious if you are keen to develop inner and outer happiness. A gift is different than an exchange. Offering a true gift means there is no exception of receiving anything in return. The act of giving alone contains within it the priceless gift of making another feel loved. The holiday of Christmas is supposed to be filled with the joy of giving and be a chance to share with others unconditionally. Often we expect to receive something of equal or greater value than what we give. Giving this way is more of an exchange and can sour a normally joyous holiday with disappointment. The value of a gift lies in the act of giving itself. Giving without expectation does not always apply in business, where it is commonly understood that the purpose of giving things away is to attain some future benefit. Business is all about trade and exchange, as opposed to true giving. Yet businesses can, for instance, be generous with employee benefit or can give by listening to and addressing staff complaints. Giving too much can deplete us if we are not receiving at all. For example, social workers give all day, every working day, and need to replenish themselves in order to continue to give. In a personal relationship, it is very important that giving and receiving are in energetic balance. In a traditional role-based marriage, the man provides the material necessities of protection, food, and shelter, while the woman takes care of the house and children. In our modern society, these roles are not as defined. For example, an overly generous supermom or superdad is the primary breadwinner and also takes care of the house and children. Their partner gives little and receives a lot. This gross imbalance fosters resentment and often leads to divorce. Receiving is giving as well. In many cultures, when food or a gift is offered, acceptance of this is expected and appropriate. This may seem awkward if the giver is living in poverty and the receiver is wealthy. Yet by receiving the offering, we are honoring the giver's wish. We can use keen discernment, viveka, to determine if the giver might expect something in return, or if the gift is way out of proportion to what is appropriate, and then decide whether or not to receive it. Giving is not as much about the gift as it is about the act of giving. Often it is best to let go and just receive, thereby participating in the continuous flow of the universe. What is more important, possessing a physical object or knowing how that object affects the heart and mind? When nurturing our inner self takes priority over satisfying our outer desires, we realize that by giving, we receive, and vice versa. Shifting the way we think about giving and receiving can transform our consciousness and enable us to avoid future suffering based on expectation. Being generous with others without expecting anything in return nurtures our heart-mind and promotes loving kindness. Giving is a sacrifice, an offering to another, and a letting go of something. In giving, we open ourselves up a bit and share our heart with another person. Give and allow yourself to receive. Thoughts. Not coveting or envying what others have brings gratitude and prosperity. I can become trustworthy through honesty, integrity, and contentment. I will not take what belongs to others or steal attention away from them. Exercises. Give examples of when you took credit for the ideas of someone else. You gave someone something with expectations of receiving something in return. Contemplate yourself. Are you more of a giver or a receiver? Taker. If you are a strong giver, it may be difficult to receive. The next time someone offers you something appropriate, receive it. If you are more of a taker, find a way to give with no expectation of receiving anything in return. Think of someone who gives a lot to you or your community. Offer that person a gift in appreciation of her generosity. Thank you for joining us for this week's weekly reading from the Path of the Yoga Sutras. You can find this book and many of our other books on our website at www.womeninleadershipbsmb.com. Make sure you join the discussion every Mindset Monday and our podcasts as we discuss further with our guests 4 times a week. Thank you for joining us. Namaste.